A group of West Virginia high school students are upset and have engaged in a walkout after being forced to attend a Christian revival assembly. Now, this isn't public high school. This is in Huntington, West Virginia, where students were instructed to their teachers. We have a couple of the students that they talked to here in the article that were forced to go to the auditorium to listen to a sermon from an evangelical preacher, Nick Walker of Nick Walker Ministries. So now, the mini revival actually took place last week during a daily non-instructional break in the schedule during which students are able to study for tests, work on college prep, or listen to guest speakers. Now, normally, okay, if you have guest speakers or whatever, that's supposed to be your time to do that. But that's not what happened here. These students, again, were instructed and told to go to the auditorium to listen to this guy. Now, according to Jed Flowers, who's a Cabell County School spokesperson, it's supposed to be voluntary. But I guess some people just didn't get the message. Now, according to two students, 16-year-old Cameron Mays and senior Max Nybert, when they arrived, they were asked to give their lives over to Jesus, and if they didn't, they were told that they were going to go to hell. Great. Awesome. Nothing like religious indoctrination in the schools, which, by the way, is illegal. You can't do that. Now, if you're mad at me for saying that it's illegal, well, then you're just factually incorrect. Again, imagine instead, think about this. Imagine if instead of Nick Walker, you had Mohammed al-Salam bin Laden telling people that they should give their lives over to Allah. You'd be mad then, wouldn't you? Now, I'd be mad in both situations because religion does not belong in school. Now, that said, we have a separation of church and state that is in the First Amendment. It says Congress shall not establish a religion. Now, and by the way, think about it this way. We don't have evolution teachers, biology teachers, interrupting your sermon to go and preach about Darwin. But this is what they're doing. They're coming into the schools to preach about religion. It's massively, massively unconstitutional. So now Nybert and other Huntington students, about 100 of them, actually staged a walkout. In fact, they had signs, they chanted, "Separate church and state, my faith, my choice," and I think that's great. Way to go, kids. I agree, we shouldn't have any religion in the public classroom, doesn't belong there, and by the way, the Constitution also agrees. So now, as I said before, the school claims that it was voluntary and organized by the school chapter of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Flowers said that there was supposed to be a sign-up sheet, but the two teachers had mistakenly brought their entire class. Was it really a mistake? I mean, I can't really prove one way or the other. But, I mean, again, West Virginia. Now, what's even more egregious about this story is what happened to a student who wasn't a Christian. Bethany Fellington said her Jewish son was one of the students that was forced to attend the assembly at Huntington High. She said that when he asked to leave, the teacher said no. The door's locked. You can't leave. Now, does that sound voluntary to you? Sure doesn't seem voluntary to me. But that said, Walker says, no, the schools didn't invite me, it's the students. We don't even have to knock on the door. The students, they receive hope here. And then they want to bring hope to their school or their classmates because we see a lot of hopelessness here in the Huntington area. Students struggling with addiction, anxiety, and depression. And when you see regions like this, he says, then you really know they need the Lord. Really, it actually sounds like they need better working conditions, like the parents, the families, better working conditions, pay and healthcare. You know, I mean that would be nice. That would actually make families better. If you want to cure hopelessness in West Virginia, which is one of the poorest states in the nation, well then I'm sorry, but you're not going to do it with just Jesus. And I don't care. You can be a religious person to me. I don't really don't give a shit. Believe what you want. That's freedom. But I also believe that taxpayer-funded public schools should not be hosting religious pastors. I don't care to have people recruited into a cult, your cult or any other cult. And I'm glad these students are fighting back. In fact, Nybert, during the walkout, passed around a petition for students to sign that he says he plans to deliver to the Cabell County Board of Education. Now, that petition asks that the board apologize to families for what happened and discipline the teachers who mandated that students go to the assembly. And I think that's fair. I'm not calling for anybody to be fired, just like, hey, you shouldn't do that. You're not allowed to do that. Now, it also calls for review or creation of a board policy pertaining to religion or religiously motivated speakers in schools. So now, look, if you want religion in school, well, here's a simple thing. You have to have all of them. You can't just have yours. Get all of them. Get all of them. If you don't have them all, then you shouldn't have just one, because that's being preferential. Now, again, I'm incredibly proud of these kids. Incredibly proud. And I'm really hoping that he is successful, that they're successful in protecting the First Amendment, which, as I mentioned, I have to remind you, guarantees both a freedom of and from religion. It's one of our most sacred, rights that is enshrined in the Constitution. And I will, of course, always defend it.